The most striking truth about the false savior is that they don't create a cage with bars. They create a cage with favors. We generally assume that the people who hurt us are the ones who attack us, but in high-pressure dynamics, the most absolute form of control is established by the person who saves you when you're at your lowest. Why does the person who gave you everything often end up taking your freedom in return? This is the core paradox of the false savior, the moment your own gratitude and sense of fairness are turned into the mechanism of your own enclosure.
Just think about that for a second. A cage made of favors. See, this isn't about simple kindness that maybe went a little sideways. No, this is a complex system of interaction where help that's usually offered when you're in a deep crisis, becomes a tool. It's basically a rescue that comes with an unwritten, invisible invoice. And that's the big question we're tackling today, right? How does that even happen? How does a lifeline get twisted into a leash? Well, to figure that out, we've got to deconstruct the whole mechanism, piece by piece. Okay, let's dive in.
So here's our game plan. We're going to start by really defining this cage of favors. Then we'll break down the rescue mechanism itself. After that, we'll get into the debt of identity, uncover the psychology behind narrative leverage, and then finally, we'll talk about the path to sovereignty.
All right, first up, the cage of favors. This is all about getting a handle on a concept called predatory benevolence. Yeah, it sounds like a total contradiction, and that's exactly the point. It's the illusion of help that's actually secretly a trap.
Now, before we get any deeper, I just want to be super clear about something. We are not here to diagnose anyone or to make judgments about their character. What we're doing is looking at observable patterns, things people have actually experienced. We're focused on the system, how our own brains can get nudged into seeing a very specific kind of control as heroic love. Okay, let's move on to section 2 and see how this thing gets built. We're calling it the rescue mechanism. And this is where we get into the real nuts and bolts of how dependency is, well, engineered, often without the person on the receiving end having any clue that it's happening. So the key psychological process here has a name. It's called indebtedness priming. Now, this is fascinating. This is a documented cognitive shift. It's a process where your brain is slowly, systematically guided to see predatory benevolence, help that comes with a lot of strings attached, as some kind of heroic, unconditional love. It's not a flaw in your thinking, it's a feature of this whole dynamic.
So where does this kind of thing actually pop up? Well, research points to a few common places. You see it in these predatory mentorship programs, where advice and guidance come at the steep price of your total loyalty. It shows up in savior complex social cliques. You know the type, where one person kind of holds the whole group together by constantly rescuing everyone. And it's a classic hallmark of enmeshed relationships, where loyalty is bought by solving a crisis that sometimes the savior may have had a hand in creating in the first place.
And this all leads to the first part of the trap, which we'll call the ownership hook. This is an idea that takes root inside your own mind. The thinking goes something like this. Wow, this person invested so much in me when I was at my absolute lowest, so they kind of have a right to have a say in my future decisions. It stops being about teamwork and starts feeling like they own shares in your life.
And the feeling you get from that hook, that has a name too. Indebtedness vertigo. It perfectly captures that physical gut punch of panic or anxiety or just overwhelming guilt that you feel when you even think about saying no to your so-called hero. Sound familiar at all? That feeling is a conditioned response. It's been trained into you to keep you in line, to make you avoid the shame of seeming ungrateful. Which leads us right into section 3, the debt of identity. Here's where we're going to map out the specific step-by-step pattern of control that turns your genuine gratitude into a debt you have to pay back with your own sense of self. So this pattern usually unfolds in 3 acts. Act 1, the strategic intervention. The controller swoops in with a huge, life-changing solution right when you are most vulnerable. You feel saved. You feel blessed. Then comes Act 2, the dividend phase. This is the big pivot. The controller starts calling in the debt, but they don't ask for the original favor back. No, they demand you do what they say on totally unrelated things. And finally, Act 3, Identity Enmeshment. Your brain, which is just wired to be consistent, starts to see your own life as a kind of joint business venture with them. And suddenly, any move you make on your own feels selfish, like you're betraying the person who made you.
So here's the absolute crucial difference between real help and control. This lays it out perfectly. Real help is about active recovery. It's designed to get you standing on your own 2 feet. This dynamic, though, creates passive dependency. You are kept in a state of being almost ready, always needing just one more thing from them, so that the savior stays absolutely essential in your life. And it all builds to this, the checkmate phrase. This isn't really a question, is it? It's an accusation. It's the moment the mask slips, and the entire system is laid bare.
The rescue was never a gift. It was a loan. And that debt is being used as the very bars of your cage.
Okay, so we've looked at how it works. Now in Section 4, we're digging into why it works, the leverage of narrative. We're about to go deep on the psychology that powers this home machine.
So what's the ultimate goal here? What's the motivation? It's something called total narrative leverage. It's the absolute power to control someone's story. Think about it. If someone has saved you, they basically own the story of your life. And from then on, you can't criticize them, you can't disagree with them, you can't leave them without looking like a horrible, ungrateful villain. They've made themselves immune to criticism, not just from you, but from your whole social circle. How are you supposed to explain the problem to anyone when they're the hero of your story?
This whole thing works by exploiting a fundamental conflict in our minds. The controller's main tool is something called the reciprocity norm. It's our deep biological instinct to repay favors. The target's vulnerability is usually the fear of ingratitude, that intense desire to be seen as a good, decent person, a value that can be weaponized to make you choose being good over being free.
And I really want to drive this point home. This reciprocity norm, it isn't some social convention. It is a hardwired instinct. It creates actual physical discomfort until we feel like we've paid a debt back. And that is precisely why it's such an effective tool for manipulation.
So, knowing all this, how do you even begin to push back? Well, that brings us to our final section, the path to sovereignty. And this isn't about confrontation or blame, it's just about arming yourself with some tools for clear-headed, analytical awareness.
So what can you actually do? Here are two really powerful steps that are just about awareness. First, what we'll call the favor audit. Look back at the help you got and ask yourself, honestly, did this gift come with unspoken terms and conditions? Was this altruism or was it an acquisition? This isn't about blame, it's about clarity. Second, there's the agency test. This is where you intentionally make one small, independent decision, something that's all yours. Their reaction is pure data. Do they support you, or do they act like you just broke a contract? This isn't about being rebellious. It's about gathering information to see if their love is actually control.
Look, getting your sense of self back starts right here with this one fundamental truth. A gift is not a contract. It doesn't have hidden clauses in the fine print that give the other person a right to your future. Just recognizing that, that's how you break the cycle of guilt.
And this might be the single most important takeaway from our whole discussion. Gratitude is a feeling. It is not a mortgage on your future that you're going to be paying off for the rest of your life. You are allowed to be grateful, and you are allowed to be independent, both at the exact same time. And in the end, the difference becomes crystal clear. A genuine favor has no expiration date, and a genuine rescue has no invoice. Real support wants to see you fly. It doesn't want to indebt you. It wants your freedom, not your loyalty.
And that leaves us with one final thought, a way to reframe the whole story. Because in most of these cases, you're the one who did the hard work. You saved yourself. They just happened to hold the door open for a second. So the real question isn't about what they did for you. The question is, when did you realize it?